Hey, what is up, my fellow golf ball addicts? Welcome back to the channel. I have another review for you, and this is one that I think a few of you have been waiting quite some time on. That is the Wilson Triad, the 2025 version. Let's dive right in. So as always, guys, please like, comment, subscribe. We have merch available via a link in the description, as well as you can join our membership. It just starts at $1. I really appreciate everyone who supports this channel. You guys are the best. Seriously, I really appreciate it. The Wilson Triad came out in 2022. New golf ball from Wilson, and it did not take long to capture the hearts of many people who played it and tested it, mainly for, well, a lot of reasons, actually. I mean, one, it was manufactured very well. Two, it had a very, traditional, great style, clicky feel, but it was actually able to be bent left and right, and it also came at a price point of just $39.99, and so a lot of people picked it up and played it and thought, wow, this golf ball is extremely accurate. In fact, today's golfer called it the most accurate ball they had tested for last year, for 2024. So that's a big deal. You know what I mean? There's a lot of golf balls on this market. When you have that good of dispersion, that good of consistency, that good of, manufacturing process, it's round. There's also a patented technology in this, especially with the new one, called this, tri-balancing. I'm not exactly sure. There it is right there on the screen for you. But that promises that basically the ball is always balanced, and so you'll always get a nice consistent roll. And the thing is that you're getting a lot of technology in such a very inexpensive golf ball. That's why a lot of people have really turned to this. And if you look up any critic review via My Golf Spy, Today's Golfer, Golf Digest, whatever, most of them are a 4.5 or a 5 out of 5, because I think it's just, again, you have a golf ball that does so much stuff very, very well, or almost perfect, and it comes in at a really valuable price point, especially if you're someone who's used to paying $55, $60 a dozen for a tour ball. Now, when it comes to the 2025 Triad, they have made some changes, the biggest one being that they softened it up. And I know this has made a couple of people really angry, because if you liked the old Triad, yeah, this one's going to be a lot different for sure. I mean, the old one was firmer, clickier, not as forgiving. This one feels a lot softer. It has some bouncy ball effect to it. They lowered it down to an 80 compression. The reason they did that, I understand. I think they knew they were going to make people mad too, but it kind of had to be done, because the big problem that I had, and a lot of other, major golf outlet reviewers like My Golf Spy, Golf Monthly, they all felt that basically if you have a Wilson Triad that feels like a premium tour ball, acts like a premium tour ball, and it's $39.99, why on earth would you ever go and spend the $49.99 on the Wilson Staff model or the Model X? And that's basically what was happening. It took all the market share away from that. And most reviews I've seen are basically like, why would you spend the extra money? It makes no sense. The Triad's perfect. And the Triad was $35 a dozen for a long time. So I think they wanted to create some separation in that, and that's why they went this way, and so it just kind of had to be done. So now it does feel and act more like a value tour ball. Kind of like how you have the TaylorMade Tour Response Stripe, or Tour Response, either one, and then you have the TP5. They feel totally different, but they're both really premium tour balls. One's just a value tour ball. So that's kind of where you get that difference there, and I think that's what Wilson was going for. So let's go ahead and dive into, the design of this, what they've done. So one thing I love about Wilson a lot is their logo. As you can see here, this is very classy. This is very sophisticated. I love just the black and white monochromatic look. I love the little shield with the line through it. It looks awesome. It looks premium. It feels premium. You feel the polyurethane coating around the outside. It's actually just a thin layer of it, but boy, it feels premium. It has some stickiness to it. It feels like it would grip the green really good. If you come around on the side here, the alignment tool. Now, I do like this alignment tool better than the previous one they had. That's a side-by-side right there to show you what it was previously. The new Triad, I do like the double lines. It makes it a little easier to line your ball up, although it's not super thick. If I hold that up to the camera, I can see it, so that definitely gets the job done. Now, I prefer just a nice thick black line, but this does get the job done, and they were even able to fit the Triad in there, and they gave it some difference, right? Now, if you pick up two Triads, you know if it's the old model or the new model, which I like. I like doing that. Not all golf companies do that. Sometimes it's very difficult to tell what's the old model, what's the new model, and if you have a run, you don't know if you're holding a 2020, a 2022, a 2024. You just don't know sometimes. So I like the fact that they made it a little different. So without further ado, let's get out to the chipping and putting green, and let's see how it does greenside. Interesting. Good strike. Okay, there we go. There's some stopping power. Not a lot. It actually does have a decently firm release. Yeah, I mean, it's very consistent. That's the good news, is everything, all three of those were exactly pretty much the same exact rollout and stoppage, but it just didn't have a lot of bite. It just had a tiny bit of checkup, which isn't a bad thing, but it's just, I know there's gonna be some people that are used to playing a tour ball and they're like, hey, maybe I can save a few bucks and go to this, and it's gonna be a little bit of a learning curve because it is different. Let's see if it goes left or right. Okay, this one I'm gonna try to get to go left here. No, not at all. No left spin. That ball, I mean, that ball, as soon as it hit, it straightened out immediately, which is kind of nice that it's forgiving. But again, if you're an advanced player and you're wanting that spin left or right. All right, let's try the cut here. Okay, so I did get some stopping power with the cut, but I had to really force it, and it kind of, as you can see, my accuracy suffered because of it. You know, unfortunately, I would call that around the 40%, 45% mark. It's not the best. It's not exactly what I would want, but it is very soft. It is very forgiving. It feels great in the hands. There's plenty of feedback. It's consistent. So if you're someone looking for a lot of spin, a lot of checkup, like, you know, a more premium advanced 4P, you know, Wilson staff, something like that, maybe you're not going to get as much here with that, but you are going to get something that's very soft, forgiving, and consistent. So if that works for you, if you're coming from a two-piece ball or maybe like a budget tour ball or maybe a direct-to-consumer ball, this actually would still be a nice, you know, transition for you. But if you're used to a lot of stop and grip and like stop on a dime, it would be a learning curve for you. Okay, so we're gonna switch up the camera angle on putting just this time around. I would love some feedback. I had someone suggest to me that this particular hole over here to my right, this is what we normally use for putting, and it's downhill, it's to the left, it's a really difficult hole to hit, and this person made a really good point. They said, why do you choose that hole? Like, it's really difficult to gauge distance control and all that, and I was like, you know what, that's actually a great point. So we're gonna try this new angle for the next couple balls. If you like it, if you don't like it, let me know, please. I'd love to know your feedback. I can always try a different hole if this one doesn't look good either, but yeah, let's just go ahead and give it a shot here. Of course, I'm aiming at the hole down there. Starting with the mallet putter. This is gonna be heavy. Let's see what we got. Okay, it comes off the putter hot. Yeah, way past the hole. Okay, so it had like a little tiny bit of bouncy ball effect. I actually did not expect that, but it feels phenomenal. It comes off a little dead, but no sound, no obnoxious click. Some really good feedback there as well. It does let you subtly know if you mishit it, but yeah, I mean, I missed all three of those, but that's not bad. Let's run it back with the blade putter. All right, so now we have a traditional blade putter, of course, as always. Let's take a look here and let's see what we got. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I got some chug effect there. I didn't like that. I also heard a little bit more of a click. The click wasn't obnoxious, but I wasn't a super big fan of the sound. Let me run it back and just see if it was me. I might have mishit it. Oh yeah, I mishit it. Okay, so it was just letting me know. Aw, come on. Okay, so if you actually do hit it correctly, it has a very nice click, but if you don't, it doesn't. I just found that out. Okay, there's that bad sound again. I mishit it and I just left it a little short. You know, both of those aren't bad. I mean, it's not phenomenal. It doesn't have a true 10 out of 10 roll, but it's very close. I think I like the mallet just a little bit better for distance control, but both of those are easily an 8 or a 9 out of 10. It gets the job done. It's very consistent, and what I like about it is it's actually pretty forgiving as well, and the feedback's there. It lets you know feedback by sound. I actually don't see that a lot. Most of the time, feedback is just in the hands only nowadays, so to see that's kind of different and refreshing, so interesting. Really nice with the Wilson Triad. I mean, it is softer for sure. It's not that old clicky model from before. This one feels more like a Tour Response Stripe a little bit. Not exactly like it, but kind of that type of feel. When it comes off the middle of the face, it is a thing of beauty. It has rocket power, it has feedback, it has everything I would want. That's incredible. And then even on mishits, it still feels pretty good. It does just enough to let you know you mishit it, but it still keeps most of that feel, which is phenomenal. Forgiveness-wise, really impressed. That was the big problem I had with the old Triad model, is there just wasn't enough forgiveness because it was so firm, because it was so clicky. Mishits really punished me. That's not the case now because they softened it up a little. Now I'm finding out that if I mishit it, instead of being off the green and chipping or pitching, I'm actually still on the green, but I'm just putting from a longer way. So that makes a big difference, especially for golfers like me. It helps shave strokes off. I love it. I think it's awesome. I think the changes are definitely for the better. All right, so let's talk some data numbers. Let's start with the 50-yard pitch. As always, backspin RPM. We're looking at 8,334, which is a very healthy amount. So far, I've tested 7 golf balls for season 5 so far, and that is the second highest I've seen. So that's actually a really healthy amount. You're not going to have any issues with stopping power. Like I said, the cover being a little sticky, it's going to stick. It's going to rip back to you. I mean, it's going to act like a premium tour ball in that regard. And so I don't know what else you could really ask for. You know, that's a pretty great performance. Anything over 8,000 would have been fine by me, but the fact that it took it a step above, I mean, it actually was very close to being the highest spinning ball so far. Granted, there hasn't been a lot of balls tested yet, but still, it's impressive. It's an impressive number. All right, so pitching wedge, we have 117.1 on your distance, 117.3 on total rollout, 77.2 on your club head speed. So keep that in mind. It was a mile an hour less than my target at 78. 93.3 on your ball mile per hour speed, just slightly below average. 7,341. You know, that's a lot of spin, so that kind of attributes to why I wasn't getting as much distance as well as ball speed. 1.21 on your smash factor, and then a 24.5 launch, which is actually just slightly above mid, but kind of around mid. So actually, I don't mind those numbers at all. I know some of you are going to see the low and immediately go, it didn't perform well. Not exactly. I mean, when you look at the swing speed being a mile per hour less, I do have to take that into account, but also the fact that this golf ball spins a ton. So, you know, the reason you're paying premium tour ball money is because you want a golf ball that is going to spin. This is not a distance golf ball. It's not designed for low spin and to get you more distance and more carry. It's supposed to be a feel, you know, tighter course, you know, bend the ball left and right, get some back spin, get some checkup. So that's exactly what it does. And so I'm not going to hold it really accountable for that. I would bump those low numbers on the distance up to probably average, because if you figure in the spin there, that's what it does. But also, I did do some course testing with this. I had zero problem with it. It's so accurate and it's so consistent that if I lose 2 yards from my pitching wedge, I'm not going to be upset. I can make that adjustment. Getting into the 7-iron, we have 163.6, 164.8 on the total rollout. Both of those numbers are just basically at average, but slightly above. 83.7 on your swing, which is exactly, I mean, that's my average right now. That's awesome. 116.8 on your ball speed, above average. 5,757, which is a high spin number. Again, that's awesome. 1.4 smash factor. That's the highest I've gotten so far. 18.5 on your 7-iron launch, which is just slightly above mid. So again, really consistent numbers. You know, again, the launch is just slightly above mid. It's very consistent with what the pitching wedge was. The spin is, you know, the right amount above what I'm looking for. It's going to have some stop. It's going to have some rip back. I love to see that. And then actually the distance, ball speed, and everything were above average this time. So again, I don't always need eye-popping numbers, and you golf ball addicts know that. I don't need, you know, record-breaking all the time. What I really love is consistency. I love, you know, I don't want a lot of this. I don't want, oh, it launches high with the pitching wedge and low with the 7. I don't want that. That happens with a lot of golf balls. So far I'm really impressed with the feel, the green side, the putting. Everything up to this point has just been really good, and I will gladly take a couple yards off my 7-iron, a couple yards off my pitching wedge if it means I get that level of accuracy and dispersion. I'll gladly take it. Last but not least, we have the driver, 226.8, 234.1. Those both numbers above average. 97 mile an hour swing speed, which, okay, that's kind of, it's a little above my target, but it's kind of what I've been hitting. 138.8 on your ball speed, and that is average. 2213, which is average for spin. 1.43 on your smash factor, which is exactly average, I kid you not. And then it had a slightly above average launch. So again, consistent launch. I like that. I mean, those numbers are consistent. It has low spin. It has a great launch angle. It travels a long way. The ball speed's there. Like, there's nothing bad so far. Everything is just kind of in that average, consistent medium. And like I said, there's no eye pop, but I love the fact that I know what I'm getting. I'm not going to get dispersion, which is what we're going to talk about right now. Let me pull this up. All right, so looking at the dispersion right here, I'm not a big fan of the 50-yard pitch on the distance difference. That's usually where I make my money, and so it was a little bit, so that kind of was disappointing. But once you get into the pitching wedge, that one looks really, really good. 7-iron looks good as well. You know, accuracy-wise, there's a couple. You can see one to the far left and one to the far right. It looks like a push maybe, but when it comes to the distance control, you can see that all those dots are pretty close to one another, which is awesome. Then once you get to the driver, I love it. You know, nice and spread out, consistent, but everything within the fairway. You know, honestly, like with that, those numbers aren't perfect by any means. I wouldn't call it a 5 out of 5 accuracy. Now, granted, I'm a human testing accuracy, so this is all just speculation, but I would say it's like a 4 out of 5 on accuracy. I played with it on the course quite a bit too, and I mean, it's just consistent, man. I mean, it's just tee to fairway, fairway to green, green to hole, and it just, I mean, I played some of my best rounds with this ball. So I gotta say, it's very consistent. It's very accurate. These dispersion numbers, because they are what they are, I gotta go 4 out of 5. But listen, if you're a better ball striker than me, if you're a little bit better off the tee, it could be a 5 out of 5 for you, so just keep that in mind. All right, last but not least, we will talk about the durability. Now, I have a general rule of thumb. So I take a sleeve of golf balls, I'll take one out, I'll test it, I put it back in, and I use the other 2 for like the green side. You'll notice I usually have 3, and so I'll chip with them, putt with them, stuff like that. The rule I have is that if I pull all 3 of those golf balls out of the sleeve, and it takes me like 5 minutes to find out which one was the one I tested for 80 shots because it looks that good, it's a 10 out of 10. This is no different. If you look at this golf ball, I mean, if you look really closely, you can start to see, you know, there's a minor scuff right there, a little tiny one, you know, like a pencil dot. There's a little tiny one on the inside of this one dimple right here. There's a little bit of a scratch right here in between this ridge, but I mean, I'm having to get a magnifying glass out and look to see scratches. And anytime we get to that point after 80 shots, it's a 10 out of 10. I can't ask for any more than that. That's phenomenal. All right, so final thoughts. Who's the golf ball for? You know, man, I understand they softened it up. I know there are going to be some people who don't like the softer feel, but I think there's going to be a lot of people who do. And I got to say that, you know, if you're wanting a really good, you know, there's a lot of you guys who come to the channel who talk about, you don't care about the price, you don't care about any of that. You just want a really good, solid golf ball that's going to affect your performance and shave strokes off. This fits that almost to a T. I mean, it really does, because you are getting some value in there. You're only paying $39.99 opposed to, you know, $50, $55, $60 a dozen. That's insane. But you're also getting a golf ball that just does so many things really well. The numbers are not eye-popping. They're not, you know, record-breaking, but they are consistent. There's low dispersion. It's very easy. It's more forgiving. You know, that was one of the big problems I had with the original Triad. It was really the only problem I had, is it didn't have the greatest forgiveness because it was so firm. They have fixed that now. Forgiveness with this golf ball is much, much better. And so now, you know, you've got a golf ball that really plays into a lot of different handicaps. It's not going to be for everyone, but it does cover this, like, handicap. If you're a 5 handicap to, I'd say, like a 15, you're somewhere in that range, and you're using a 3-piece ball and you want something that's really good and performs great, and it's going to shave strokes off, and it's great with the putter around the green. If $40 isn't too much for you, man, this has got to be the one for sure. Now, I can't wait to see this, the TaylorMade's Tour Response, the new 2025 version. That's going to be interesting as well. We'll see if it can give it a run for its money, but right now, that's the only competition I can really think of in this price range and in this market. This is a fantastic showing from Wilson Triad, and I'm really excited. I will be using these golf balls this year for sure. So, Bruce, thank you for sending these to me. Everyone thank Bruce. He sent them. He's awesome. Guys, as always, keep watching, keep saving, keep learning. Until next time.